Hey there. I thought it would be cool to do a video just about some like queer themed or queer adjacent or decks that feel queer to me during Pride Month 2022. And so that's what I'm going to do. And these are in no particular order. They just are things that I saw on my shelves or on my table as I looked around. Because I'm actually doing this because I'm waiting for a video to upload, but YouTube is being insanely stupid today and causing me heartburn. And so I'm filling the time, which I'm wasting by keeping the window open so that they upload. So again, no particular order. This is not exhaustive. This is just what occurred to me as I scanned my shelves. Many of them are ones that I reach for from time to time. So first up is the Fortune Queens. This is, I just learned, and I did not know, that there is a second volume of this featuring additional queens. But this is a Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race themed tarot. I think I did an unboxing of this when it came out. This was a Kickstarter, and I really liked it. And I just, you know, my feelings about RuPaul vary from time to time. I mean, obviously pioneer in drag art and in mainstreaming queerness. Also some issues with, I won't get into. But anyway, it is a Drag Race themed deck, and it has many of the drag queens up until the point the deck was created, but there have been many more seasons and international versions, which are in the second volume, which I have to look at and see if it's available. Anyway, pink gilding, and it's just, you know, it's fun. It's very Rider-Waite Smith, but a lot of the choices were really cool, and if you are a Drag Race fan, you know, it's just a lot of fun, and it's fun and draggy. So there is that. Again, these are not in any particular order. By the way, the production quality of this was like chef's kiss. I think so really good. You can find the creator at Enjoy My Cake on Facebook, Twitter, and enjoy.mycake on Instagram. So that is the first one. The second one, sort of a departure from that. This is the Next World Tarot. This is a much more political, I would say, deck. This is, there's a new, I think, smaller version of this. I don't work with this one a lot because, keywords, but it's really good. Very modern, very political. I think cardstock on this edition is not ideal, but actually because of the size, it actually shuffles really nicely. You know, so like in that regard, it's thin, but it's effective. It is lefty, it is political, it is queer, it is progressive, it is all of the things. And I have said before that this, though it has keywords, they are unobtrusive keywords. And so, not to me a deal breaker, which is why it's in this list. And yeah, I tend not to reach for super modern decks when I'm reading, and I'm usually reading for others, partly because I try to leave, as I've said many times, as neutral a spread on the table so that we can talk about it without sort of experiencing emotional responses to the cards, and rather let the cards sort of talk to us at a different level. Like, this Lover's card is amazing. So this is an amazing deck. I think, I don't think, it is an amazing deck, and very, 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 you know, pioneering in a lot of ways, and popular for a reason, and really good. And I say bravo. This is the Divine Masculine Tarot, which is, you know, it's been in conversation. It took a long time to develop. It really is a beautiful deck, and I think a great conversation starter. Did I just take a card out of the deck? It's the credits card. I have a video all about this one. I was one of those folks that was sent a preview of some of the cards. Some of the cards were changed due to some folks complaining about nudity. I, like many, wish that the cards had not been changed. I won't get into all of that, but despite the changes, it's still a gorgeous deck, and something, you know, in a field where a lot of the work has been about divine feminine, about goddesses. You know, I think it's interesting for queer men in particular to have something that explores queerness and the idea of masculinity, etc. I am among those, and everyone really I've talked to wishes that the changes had not been made, but they were, and, you know, creators are gonna do what creators are gonna do. I do wish people hadn't bullied them, you know. I wish that I didn't feel like it was probably some Karens out there who were like, I don't like nudity in this deck for queer men. I don't know if I don't know much. This was gifted to me, and I don't know whether it is explicitly meant to be queer, but it is astoundingly queer. This is the Oculus Akulata tarot, which I'm showing despite the fact that I believe this was a limited edition and not easy to find. It is quite a work of art. It is quite a weighty deck. It's huge. It's amazing. I mean, it is dazzling and strange and really incredibly queer, and again, something that has sort of an exploration of queer mask that is, again, something that's interesting to me as a queer man. I am appreciative of that exploration and what masculinity is and means, etc. There's no guidebook for this that I know of. There's no little white book. I actually had to write the number on the card in order to remember which was which, but it really is astonishing. And then I think this might, yeah, these are the minors, and the majors are these very different in style, sort of astonishing black and white pieces of art that are just dazzling. Here we have some of the wands. It's it's gorgeous. It's strange. It's, you know, I'm sure that this would be a really fascinating deck to meditate on if you do that kind of thing. You know, it really is amazing. It is huge. It is not easy to shuffle. It is a workout to shuffle. I do not believe this was meant to be used, but I have used it. You know, I'm just going to bring this one out because it's sort of the first deck that I had that had any representation of queer people in it. It's the World Spirit Tarot. I talk about this deck all the time. It is my old faithful. It was, like the Next World, sort of a pioneer of its time. This is the original Llewellyn edition, but there is a reprint by the creator, who has, you know, updated some of the cards. I've shown this deck so many times I won't dwell on it, but just it's really among my favorite decks. Always, it's always out. This was a deck that I backed. Oops, everything's falling. That I backed last year. The Rainbow Seekers Tarot. I know I made a video of this one as well by Henson Wongaham, and it's very cool. This is another one of those decks where someone wanted something that didn't exist, and they worked within their ability to make it happen. So it is Rider-Waite-Smith based. What it does is uses sort of vector shapes to create the images. And when you first maybe glance at them, you think they're very simple and that they don't really add up to much, but they do. They're quite evocative. You know, here in the Seven of Cups, you actually see the head and the shoulders and the cups of the person. And what I love about this is the way that it's neutral. You know what I mean? And it allows me as a reader an opportunity to just sort of let the cards talk to me. I know what the Waite-Smith image looks like. I know what the numerology is. I don't need too much imagery. And so I really like this deck for that reason. It's also got really nice cardstock. It's matte, but it's not sticky. And there's all these variations on LGBTQ plus flags and color schemes, etc. So I don't know if this is something that he still sells, but I do know that it's great. Amassing this tower of decks next to me, which is very precarious. This is the Spirit Within Tarot, which I've had for a while, and it, I don't know, I don't know that it's explicitly queer. I mean, Stephen Bright is openly a gay man, and in a way, it sort of puts everyone as a silhouette, and so people can see themselves in it. But as a creator, he also did with Tony Poole, the Rainbow Kipper, rather. So I wanted to throw this in there because also, queer artists, but it makes space in a way that, like, up until this point, decks weren't really necessarily doing. Here is the Outsider Tarot, which was created by Bobby Abadi, and who's a Instagram artist. Well, not Insta, he's an artist on Instagram. This was a deck that I backed. Also a queer creator. Really cool. I really like this deck. I do not use it much. Partly just, again, because it's very modern. But I really like it and enjoyed watching the creation of it. And I think the art is really cool and really fun and very fresh, and just delightful and, whimsical but appropriate, you know what I mean? Not sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not silly, it's whimsical in a good way, I guess. It's fun, and it looks like tarot to me. I can't remember if there's a book that goes with this. He does rename the suits, but the names are in the back of the box. And I see this being posted, so I assume you can still get this one. But again, it's really great. If you follow Bobby on Instagram, you'll see he does a lot of one-card readings, and like the deck is really, in a way, kind of ideal for that because there's so much in the card, and for me, I don't necessarily read that way, so that's sort of one reason why I haven't used it that much. Also, I just get so many decks, and at this time, I haven't really bought a lot of decks lately, but at the time, it was, I was, and so it was like you get one and then you forget about it. This deck itself is not an explicitly queer deck. It's a fairy tale themed deck, but the creator, Trungles, wrote and illustrated an amazing graphic novel called The Magic Fish, which is a queer graphic novel for children, which I loved, and so I wanted to include it here because I love fairy tales, and I loved that book, and also the art is very, very cool. And there are, I don't know if this is in order, there are choices, for example, in the Lovers, that you can choose sort of to female presenting, men, sort of non-binary or not explicitly one or the other, you know what I mean? And so as a reader, you can sort of choose different Lovers cards. The Suit of Wands for me is just a little too whimsical for me, but I like the deck a lot. I love the art, and if you haven't, if you haven't read The Magic Fish, it's such a good story, and it's about immigration, and it's about mothers and sons, and it's about having a crush on your best friends when you're a little gay boy, and just all the things, that you want. This is not a specifically queer deck either. It's the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the Moon Baby. But the color palette just feels very springy and June and pridey. You know what I mean? It's got this sort of, I don't know if this is intentional or what, but this like pinkish edge. And then the color palette is very kind of candy. I don't know, I just used this for some readings today, and that was what actually made me think about doing this video. It's just very pink and purple, and, it just felt very appropriate for this time of year, Pride Month, for spring, etc. So I wanted to include that. Just a couple more. Getting so old. Again, another deck that's not explicitly, but always has felt very queer to me is Dame Darcy's Mermaid Tarot, which I love. A whimsical deck that is not overly whimsy to me, but it just has a very gay, very queer quality to it, very sort of old Hollywood, very... it just reminds me of, like, gay sailors in P-Town or something. And, you know, like, cards like this are so gay. I mean, come on. So, you know, and I love it. I love the deck. I just can't help it. This is one of the most recent editions. I think there's a new sort of non-gilded, less expensive version of this, which might be a little easier to shuffle, but I really do like this card stock a lot. So that's the Dame Darcy's Mermaid Tarot, which, again, not necessarily... I don't know Dame Darcy, but maybe it is, but it just feels very, very queer. And last but not least is the other deck that made me think of this, because I used this on Instagram today, is the Queer Tarot by Ash and Chess. I did a walkthrough unboxing of this. I really like this. It does have modern images in terms of the art, but it's I don't know, I'm enjoying it a lot. And the color scheme is, like, too much in a good way. You know, it's like neon. I think, you know, when I was a kid who was, like, into all the, like, 60s black eye posters and, you know, stuff, I would have been gagged but I love this. In fact, I'm going to be doing some readings at a sort of witchy flea market this month, and I'm probably going to bring this with me as one of my decks. It's very... all the things I talk about. It's diverse. There's body size differences. There's ethnic differences. There's age differences. It's just, like, all the things and more. And the cardstock's a little thick. It's a little bit of a meaty shuffle, to borrow. But it's great. You know what I mean? I think it's really all the things that I look for in a deck these days. So... those are the ones that I have for you. I hope this was fun. I mean, I know there are other, like, there's this deck from, like, the 90s or the early 2000s called the Gay Tarot that I never liked. That was a Llewellyn deck. And then there are other ones that have come out since. So, you know, if you have recommendations for ones I should check out that I didn't cover here, it's possible that I have it and forgot about it, but it's also possible that I haven't heard of it. So please feel free to let me know. What are your favorite queer decks, or queer-themed decks, or queer-adjacent decks? Feel free to do a VR to this, you know? Share with the world. Happy Pride to everybody, and hopefully we're surviving the unsurvivable as survivably as possible. Godspeed. Be good. We'll talk soon.